Hey everybody and welcome back. Hope your guys this weekend is going good so far. Now, this video, obviously you can tell by the title, it's just my thoughts and opinions on the Nintendo Switch press conference. I did watch it on Thursday, it was pretty good. We'll go over what the Nintendo Switch is. I'm sure you guys have watched countless other videos on it, but I'm just going to run it over real quick and we'll just kind of go through it, and then I'll talk about like what games I want to see on it, what I thought about the whole press conference by itself. So, without further ado, I'll just jump right in. So there's 3 modes you can use the Nintendo Switch on. TV mode, where basically you can have it into the docking station and then you can just play it like a normal console. You can get the Nintendo Switch Pro controller and such. Play like a video game console. And then if you want to like take it out, you can do handheld mode, which is pretty cool, I guess. I mean, it's on the go. That's the main selling point of this. And before I go any further, the Switch is the tablet itself. It's not the docking station, which I really wanted the docking station to give it some more power when it's in the dock, so it can play these beefier AAA games, but it doesn't look like that's the case right now. I don't know if they'll release something in the future to give it more power, because I mean that handheld device isn't really that powerful. I'm gonna go over the specs as well too. So this is just, like I said, my thoughts and opinions. Then there's tabletop mode, where you take out the kickstand, you can take the little controllers off, and you can play it like from far away. You can put one to your friend, one to yourself, and then you can play Mario Kart, split screen or something on one. Kind of cool, right? I mean, it's cool. It's cool. I will admit. I mean, like I said, I like Nintendo. I don't want them to fail or anything. So, it's just stuff that I saw that I just didn't like at all. All right, so it comes out March 3rd is when the release date's going to be. It's going to be $300 in the United States, and I guess Europe you had to check with your own country or something like that. So, I'm not sure what over there, but it's 29,980 yen in Japan. How do the controllers work? Basically, they act as a standalone controller as well. And they have infrared motion controls, which I guess whoopee-doo. Nintendo has done this for since the Wii original, and it's burned out to me at this point. Like, I don't care about the motion controls while playing a game. I'd rather have VR if I'm gonna have motion controls, and they didn't say anything about VR. So, and the other thing that I thought was pretty stupid was when they're like, "Oh, it can simulate the vibration of an ice cube in a glass." All right, that's I guess cool. But it's not useful at all. I mean, what's the use? What's the point, Nintendo? Like, get down to it. It's like, oh, we can tell the difference between rock, paper, and scissors. It's like, yeah, great. What are you going to actually use it in? Like, they didn't say it. Just like, oh, yeah, whatever. They didn't say any games. Like, oh, yeah, they're using the infrared and whatever to sense different hand gestures. Like, great. All right, so the Switch does come with a left and right Joy-Con controller and the Joy-Con wrist straps, the Joy-Con grip, Nintendo Switch dock, HDMI cable, and AC adapter. Kind of self-explanatory. So, interesting. I know the price point to me is pretty cheap. And people are going to be like, well, no, it's a good price. Well, if it's so underpowered, it's not going to... A lot of AAA developers aren't going to want to waste their time to make games for this. So, that's why I wanted them to release a beefier console. I know people are going to be like, oh, well, Nintendo doesn't need to make a beefy console. They're just going to rely on their first parties, and if they have third party, that's fine. Well, we'll get into this in a little bit later, but if it was more powerful, then Nintendo obviously would have a better standing. Like, I was looking for a console that I could take on the go, which is a plus with the Switch, play it like a normal console, which is another what the Switch is marketing towards, and then getting AAA support for, like, say, your Madden, your FIFA. I know they announced FIFA, and I'll get into that as well. So we'll talk about a couple of those things here in a minute. But more AAA games than what Nintendo usually is used to getting, like just Watch Dogs, Project Cars. The list goes on and on. You guys know what AAA games are. Basically, they come out across all platforms, and they're big developers. So, and then there's going to be accessories as well. The Nintendo Switch Pro controller, which is $70. That surprised me. The Joy-Con controller set of 2 is $80. A Joy-Con controller sold separately, L and R, $50. Charging grip, which is $30. Dock set, which is $90. And the Joy-Con wheel set of 2 is $15. I don't know about that. That's pretty pricey, especially for the Pro controller. It doesn't look like a high-end build controller either for that price, but whatever. Alright, so the specs is going to be a 6.2-inch 1280 by 720 resolution with a multi-touch captivated screen. It uses 32 gigabytes of internal storage, and it utilizes an NVIDIA Tegra-based system chip for its processor. And it will have, as well as local, up to 8 players can play a LAN, so that's interesting. It also comes with 2 speakers at the bottom and a 3.5mm headphone jack to plug in your headphones. Cool. The battery life varies depending upon your game, 2.5 to 6 hours, but they did say if you were playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, it could last roughly 3 hours or so, which I thought was pretty decent. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's still pretty good for playing like a big base game on it. Games are going to be, I guess, basically $60 for like Mario Kart 8, Breath of the Wild. But I guess 1-2 Switch is going to retail for $50, which $50 for that? Come on. I'll get into that too. Physical format, it's going to be, obviously, they're called game cards. It's kind of like what the 3DS has, the cartridges. And no, there's no backwards compatibility as far as I know. So it kind of sucks, but they're using cartridges this time around, which I thought was pretty awesome. I love to have cartridges instead of like discs and stuff. That's awesome. But if the Switch isn't going to live up to it, I don't know. Alright, so the biggest games they announced. Okay, so let's go right through it. So they kicked it off. 1-2 Switch. They didn't kick it off with that, but they showcased it right pretty far in the beginning. It's called 1-2 Switch. It's like basically a dueling game, and it's for $50. Well, I don't know about that. That game looks like it has fun for about 5 minutes, and then it's like, okay, let's put it down and call her a day, because it just doesn't look like it's that good of a game, in my honest opinion. It looks like it's a $10 game that is a gimmick. And again, these motion controls that they're trying to push on you, it's all just a gimmick. I mean, they're not really, I don't think they'll support it very long. I mean, it's idiotic. Nobody cares, Nintendo, like at this point. And then they had ARMS, which was another one. I'm like, oh, here we go. Again, they're focusing more on the younger crowd than the adults that actually are intrigued by this console. But no. ARMS is basically where you fly around with the IR sensors and you punch the other player. Whoopee, I don't really care about that either. So, moving on, FIFA was announced, and I was confused because people are trying to defend it, and it doesn't make any sense. So, they announced FIFA, but they didn't say it was FIFA 18. Now, part of it could be because it's not E3 yet, and they usually don't announce it till then. Like, oh, FIFA 18, like, surprise, really. But they did show, like, a gameplay video at the end of the conference, and it looked like they had, like, EA Sports FIFA. Now, it wasn't the same color scheme as what FIFA usually is, and it just said straight up FIFA. It didn't have a year, it didn't have anything on it. So, what I think it's going to be a dumbed down version of FIFA that can run on this console. Like, ooh, great, this is going to be fun. So, it's kind of what EA did with, I think, Madden. They did it on the original Wii. They made, like, their own version for it, which was dumbed down, dumb version. I think it's going the same route again. This is my opinion. That Fire Emblem Warriors, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, just great. I like Mario Kart, but it's kind of like, okay, you kind of should have known that was coming. And then they had Skyrim. It was officially confirmed. Now people are like, oh my god, Skyrim, like that's cool. Okay, you can play it on the go. It's the 2011 version of Skyrim. And I mean, that tells me that this Switch is about a little more powerful than the PS3 and 360. That's, I mean, it's cool that Skyrim's coming out for the Switch so you can play it on the go and in the car and stuff, but to be realistic, the Switch is just so underpowered that developers aren't going to stick around very long. That's the problem. Like, I don't care that it's underpowered, it's just that developers, based on the power, they're not going to make games for it. And people are like, well, I don't buy Nintendo for AAA games. I would. I mean, if I could get AAA games and Nintendo games all in one console, I would do that in a heartbeat. I know NBA 2K18 was announced in the trailer. It was just a short snippet. I don't even know if that was gameplay. I think it was just straight up, just said the name real quick. I don't know how well that's going to look compared to the PS4 and Xbox One, but it's going to be interesting to see how many developers are going to stick around after, say, a year or two, because they're just not going to want to waste their time on the hardware if it's not living up to what the PS4 Pro or base PS4 and Xbox One are at, and the Scorpio coming out this fall. So they're not going to want to stick around if they can see that's not selling well and people aren't buying AAA games on it. So then we're back to the Wii U again. So I don't know. The one thing that would do it over for me, well, I'll say that and I'll get into that in a minute as well. Splatoon 2 was announced. I never got into it, never played it. I don't care for it. Steep was announced. Great, it's already out. I mean, whoopee. Super Mario Odyssey, that's cool. I mean, that game, that had my interest as well as if they would do a Pokemon game. Those two games alone would probably persuade me to want to buy the Switch. I mean, I know, like I'm saying, oh, it's underpowered and all that. If they made a Pokemon, like say, I think it was rumored first, Pokemon Stars, and then they made Super Mario Odyssey, which remember, a lot of these games aren't out at launch, so it's going to be a little bit yet, but Mario Odyssey's coming out on the holiday. It's going to be, that would make me want to buy the Switch, because the Mario game looks super fun, and then if they made a Pokemon game, which I think it's all but confirmed at this point, that'd be amazing. Then I would buy the Switch for $250. And even if it is underpowered, like I keep saying, it's just, I maybe expected too much of the Switch, but I mean, in the end, it's like Nintendo. You gotta stop. You're so out of touch with what gamers want, and it's ridiculous. I just can't believe they're so far out of touch with gamers. I mean, I know it's kind of older people that are running Nintendo now. I mean, Rezi Fizeme was just Fizeme or whatever his name is. He's okay. I mean, he's not the greatest representative of Nintendo I've seen, but he is more down to earth than the other guys, I guess. And I don't know. I think Nintendo shot themselves in the foot here with not releasing a lot of these games at launch. Like, just for example, Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade, there was no date on that. And there was I think there was a couple other ones that weren't at launch. 1-2 Switch, I don't even think was at launch. Just, Nintendo. Why even announce them then? I mean, I know you want to get your names out there for the games, but it's just not gonna work if you don't have the right games at launch. I mean, Zelda was the big one at launch. That might sell a couple million at most. I mean, it's not gonna move console. I know people have been wanting this for years, but Breath of the Wild is also gonna release on the Wii U, so what's the point to get it on the Switch? It was just an interesting conference. Like I said, I will probably end up in the long run buying the Switch. Just $200 I'd pay for it if it was bundled too. I'm not gonna go out of my way to get it. I'm not gonna stand in line, pre-order it. I mean, I think a lot of pre-orders sold out. It's just one of those things. Like, okay, if I can get it for $200 with, say, Super Mario Odyssey bundled together, that might want to get me to buy the game, the console. I mean, it's like I said, it's underpowered and yada yada yada, but I give them crap because it's like, Nintendo, you gotta start listening to the consumer. We want not like a over horsepower console, but something decent that is gonna be on the market for quite a few years, 5 years. Not like, oh, let's release with all these gimmicks like ARMS and 1-2 Switch and games nobody's gonna play. You gotta release games that are gonna be interesting and just with the consumer. I don't understand the route Nintendo's going, but I hope them the best. And it's going to be interesting to see how well games are going to get reviewed and rated, and how well the Switch is going to turn out with the real world. I know a lot of people are still hyped for it, but a lot of them might even thought they mean Skyrim Special Edition. Well, it was the 2011 version, so I mean, that tells you how underpowered this thing is. I know it's a tablet, but come on. Then if you can't make it on the tablet, then whatever, make a console, Nintendo. That's what we want. We don't want all these gimmicks that are always thrown at us. We're a lot of adults, and not just 18-year-olds to 25. It's 18 to 40 to 50 years old play video games. So that's a huge market, Nintendo, and you're missing out. You're focusing more on the childish games that nobody wants as adults. I don't know. That's my 2 cents. If you guys want to talk down in the comments, I will respond. I just want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on the Switch. I mean, I know I'm kind of late to the party, but I mean, I figured I might as well talk about it because it intrigues me. So, yeah, guys, if you made it to this far in the video, I want you to like the video, comment, rate, and subscribe, and follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook, and I will talk to you guys again very soon. Have a good one.